Hello folks, my name is Greg Delane. I'm the broker and owner of G. Delane Real Estate. I started my real estate career back in 1994. How long ago was that? These were the cell phones then. Here's how thin they are today. I developed this show because I believe that experience is the difference. My guests are experts at what they do. We come together to help make your real estate experience more pleasurable and profitable. Let's get started. Enjoy the show. Hey folks, welcome. I am Greg Delane, and I'm happy to have on my show a person that I met about a year ago. The show is very short. I only have professionals on the show, and today I have attorney Ann Penachio. Hello, Ann. How are you?
Fine, Greg. How are you?
I'm doing just fine. Listen, Ann is with Penachio and Millar. Frank Millar and Ann Penachio, they're attorneys. They're here in White Plains. But real quickly, I want to get to Ann and give us a little bit about yourself so we can get started.
Thank you, Greg. Greg, my law firm specializes in bankruptcy law. I've been practicing bankruptcy law for over 20 years. When I graduated from law school in 1991, I had the great opportunity to clerk for a bankruptcy judge. So I learned bankruptcy law from my 2-year clerkship inside and out. After my clerkship ended, I worked in the city at a large New York law firm for about 3 years, and I decided to move up to Westchester, and I formed my own practice in 1996, and I've been focusing on bankruptcy law since that time. In the last 3 years, my practice has been particularly challenging as a result of setbacks in the economy.
Yeah. Well, that's why I have you on the show. I'm in real estate, been doing it about the same amount of time, and the recession caused so many problems that I'm often asked questions, and listen, I don't know everything. I want the pros to come on my show, and I always say experience is the difference. You bring a pro on, let's ask some questions. So this show is about the types of bankruptcy, and that is my first question. What are the types of bankruptcy?
Greg, there are basically 3 types of bankruptcies available to individuals. Chapter 7, Chapter 13, and Chapter 11. Chapter 7 is known as straight discharge. Chapter 7 works best for individuals that don't own a lot of property, that don't have a home, and that don't have a high income.
Okay.
Chapter 7 has limitations on income. In order to qualify for Chapter 7, you have to, the potential debtor has to meet certain income guidelines, median income guidelines for the geographic area where the person resides.
They have to qualify for chapters.
They have to qualify for Chapter 11 on a disposable income basis.
Okay.
So in this geographic area, an individual debtor without any dependents would have to, his or her income would have to really be below $40,000, which is low.
Mm-hmm.
So Chapter 7 has limitations.
Mm-hmm.
It really works best for people that have credit card debts, medical bills, or business liabilities. And it provides that a debtor could get a discharge from those debts and move on with their financial affairs unburdened by this old debt.
That's Chapter 7. Okay.
Chapter 13 is an alternative to Chapter 7. Chapter 13 was designed by Congress to help individuals who own a home to keep their home. Chapter 13 has evolved from that original congressional enactment to include people that don't qualify for Chapter 7.
Okay.
Chapter 13 is only available to individuals who have liabilities that basically are less than $330,000 on an unsecured level and $1,080,000 on a secured level. So basically, Chapter 13 works for individuals that are that own property, maybe temporarily down on their luck, and have the ability to pay back some of their debts. Another term used to describe Chapter 13 is judicially supervised debt consolidation. So in a Chapter 13, a debtor will consolidate their liabilities and pay their unsecured creditors 10 cents on the dollar, 15 cents on the dollar, or what a fair and reasonable amount would be based upon their income and their household expenditures.
Okay, wait a minute. You said, and that would be between $300,000 and $1,080,000. In that, they have to be in that.
Yes.
Say if I owe $500,000 for my house,
you would qualify for Chapter 13 because the secured debt level, so mortgage would be a secured debt,
yes,
is subject to that $1,080,000 cap. So for people that come in and they may have a mortgage of $1.5 million, which is not unusual in this geographic area,
yes,
they would not qualify for Chapter 13. The alternative for them would be Chapter 11. Chapter 11 is most commonly associated with businesses, business reorganization.
Okay.
But it is also available for higher net worth debtors who have debts that exceed the limitations for Chapter 13. So a homeowner that may own a home that's worth $2.5 million that owes $1.8 million on it would be well served by Chapter 11.
Get it. I get it.
Chapter 11 is more labor intensive and costly than Chapter 13. For example, the filing fee alone in a Chapter 11 case is approximately $1,300, where the filing fee in a Chapter 13 is only $300.
Okay.
So the difference in the filing fee is really a prelude to the difference in complexity of this section.
The information that you have to research and
yeah, the labor-intensive nature of it. See, Congress enacted Chapter 13 to help individuals emerge from bankruptcy and be free from their debt, to consolidate their debt and move on with a payment plan. Congress did not enact a similar provision for higher net worth debtors. So higher net worth debtors that may have debt that exceeds the limitations of Chapter 13 are given the ability to file for Chapter 11 relief.
So that's why I see some of these huge, large commercial companies that they file a Chapter 11 to stop that's like putting their finger in the dike and stopping everybody from going after them before they can restructure their businesses?
Yes. Bankruptcy implicates an automatic stay. It stays collection efforts from creditors. So, for example, in a business context, a landlord may be aggressively pursuing the company and trying to evict the company. Bankruptcy would stay most eviction actions. Bankruptcy could stay the IRS for seizing assets, seizing a bank account for failure to pay a sales tax. Bankruptcy would stay a judgment creditor from garnishing or levying a bank account. It's not unusual for me to get a call from a business with a plea at the last minute. My payroll, I went to go get payroll, I went to the bank and I discovered that a creditor has levied my account and I can't unfreeze the account. So bankruptcy gives these entities the ability to continue in business,
Yes.
and not be crippled by the efforts of creditors.
Not to, I remember this had to be about 10 or 15 years ago. I remember Donald Trump filed bankruptcy and stopped a lot of the stuff that was going on so that he could continue to do what he's doing. And I think that's a perfect example in a way. I don't know if I like to use Donald as much, but it shows that even people with what I think is outrageous money is able to use the Chapter 7, 11, or 13 to hold them off there for a minute.
Yeah, and the automatic stay also benefits creditors. I mean, no creditor likes to be stayed from pursuing someone that owes them money, but this is not a race to the courthouse. It's not, I got there first, so I'm seizing all of the assets to the detriment of other creditors. It's, let's all do this in a fair way. Bankruptcy promotes equity among creditors and allows creditors to all participate in what could be a sizable distribution.
Wow. Let's get this, because in my neighborhood where I live, and I'm speaking now to people just like me or own in my area, and the homes are selling between $350 and $550. They're a few months behind. They lost their job, or their job laid them off, and they're struggling. I think the real problem that I see is that people don't know what to do, and they don't do anything. And I think it's through being emotionally crippled by, shame, or people are going to find out. None of that matters in this world. You gotta call somebody like you and ask the question. So in my neighborhood, $350 to $650 price range. We would be the Chapter 13.
You would, and I think that Chapter 13 has particular advantages for people in that economic area.
Yes.
For example, Chapter 13 allows an individual homeowner to strip off a second mortgage.
Wow.
If the value of the home is worth less than what is owed to the holder of the first mortgage,
okay,
the second mortgage can be stripped off or eliminated and treated solely as an unsecured debt. The ability to strip off a second mortgage has enabled a multitude of homeowners to retain their home.
Wow.
For example, if a property is worth $500 and $600 is owed to the first mortgage holder and $200 is owed to the second mortgage holder, the homeowner, through Chapter 13, can wipe out the second mortgage. It would be treated as a solely unsecured claim and could be paid only pennies on the dollar in a Chapter 13. Chapter 13, unfortunately, the state of the law now is that a Chapter 7 debtor cannot strip off a second mortgage on a home, on a residence. So that availability to strip off is very important for Chapter 13
That's
debtors.
huge.
Chapter 13 debtors, I find in my practice, are more likely to obtain a loan modification. The bankruptcy courts in this district, the Southern District of New York, have promulgated a set of guidelines and procedures for loss mitigation, for loan modification. It's a very successful program. It requires lenders to act in good faith and send a representative with authority to court proceedings. And through this program, numerous homeowners have been able to save their homes. For example, through this program, a lender may reduce an interest rate from 6.5% to 3%,
Wow.
or from 6.5% to 2% with an escalating scale.
Yes.
So
yes.
it will be 2% for 3 years, 3% for 2 years, and then capped at 5.
But they can sleep at night, and they can take a deep breath, and they can enjoy their cup of coffee in the morning without just, because stress and high blood pressure can kill you. You can't do this.
Financial reverses are, I believe, one of the most significant sources of stress. People that have financial reverses can be despondent. They can't sleep at night. They have health issues. It is an extremely difficult burden to bear. And so it benefits everyone in society to have laws on the books like the bankruptcy laws.
Absolutely. Listen, folks, my people that watch this show, put your big ear on, please. I know it's shame and different things that you feel. They're going to know, my neighbors know that. They're going to find out anyway if it goes to where you're not going to do anything about it. The only stupid question is the one you don't ask. And I always say we're only here on earth for a cup of coffee. You can't have cigarette butts and grounds in your coffee. You want your coffee to be nice and flavorful, and you want to have that coffee in France and England. Don't sit here and worry about a house. I've always said a house is just wires, wood, and sheetrock. Don't let it take your health, and don't let you enjoy your children and do the things you want to do in life because you don't know to ask somebody like Ann Penachio. What are the questions that people ask? Oh, did you want to say something?
Well, I want to say for me, bankruptcy is a very gratifying area of law to practice because you really feel like you are getting having a direct impact on the quality of life of people, and you're really accomplishing a result for them that will enable them to become a better person and achieve their goals in life.
I work with people, and I try to tell my agents and different seniors and people that I go to represent them and sell their house, and I say, it might not sound right, but I work for purpose more than profit. And they say, so there's no commission? I say, oh no, there's commission. I don't work for free, but I work to help people, and it's easier to you don't have to advertise and don't have to spend all this money letting people know what you do, because word of mouth is the best advertisement in the world. So I work for purpose more than profit. When I first got into business, I was working for profit, and that's why all my hair is gone now. I work for purpose now, Now, Ann, what are the big questions people usually walk up and ask you?
Some of the common questions are, what types of debts are dischargeable in a bankruptcy? Can I get out of my student loans?
Can I keep my car?
Can I keep my car? Very good. And that's, people become very attached to their car. Their car gets them to the doctor. Their car gets them to work. They need a car. Yes, the good news is you can keep a car. There are some limitations on your ability to keep a car. In a Chapter 13 case, you can always keep a car. Okay. In a Chapter 7 case, your ability to keep a car may be somewhat limited. And every debtor is granted a set of exemptions by law. That is a laundry list of property that they can keep. And there are limitations on the value of a car.
Okay.
For an individual, they could keep a car to the extent that their equity in the car doesn't exceed approximately $4,000.
I can't keep my Ferrari?
No. Okay. Ferrari would be subject to forfeiture in a Chapter 7. So people with a higher value car might choose to file for Chapter 13. In the context of either Chapter 13 or Chapter 7, an individual can choose to keep their vehicle and continue to make payments if the vehicle is financed.
Okay.
Some people want to most people want to keep their car. They want to continue to make the payments, whether the payment is $300 a month or $400 a month. But there are many people that want to get rid of their car. Yeah. They say, gee, I had a minivan. I had 3 kids. Now my kids are old. I don't want my minivan anymore. I'm paying $700 a month for this minivan.
Yes.
Can I please turn it in?
Yes.
And there is a mechanism in the law which allows people to turn in a car. Or they'll say, you know, gee, I have a Mercedes. I used to take clients around. My Mercedes is costing me $900 a month.
Mm-hmm.
I don't need it anymore.
That would be in a chapter...
Either a Chapter 13 or a Chapter 7. They both sections of the bankruptcy code have mechanisms where individuals can turn in or surrender a financed or leased vehicle.
Do I have to pay my alimony? Do I have to pay child support?
You do.
Okay.
Child support and alimony.
I can't get out of that?
No.
Not me, but
Right.
I'm just saying.
No, domestic support obligations.
Okay.
So obligations emanating from a matrimonial case and from a paternity issue are non-dischargeable.
You hear that, you deadbeat dads? You cannot come to Ann and try to not take care of your kid. All right. I just had to say that.
On many people's minds now are student loans.
Yes, that's huge.
Years ago, student loans were dischargeable if, with certain limitations. For example, if the student was paying the student loan back for 7 years, the loan would be dischargeable after the 7-year period of time. In or about 1996 or 1997, the law changed, and now student loans are veritably non-dischargeable. There are some exceptions. Under the standard that is now prevailing, it's called the Bruner standard, based on the Bruner case, it is virtually impossible to be discharged from a student loan. Colloquially, it's been said you really almost need to be a quadriplegic and not able to work at all to discharge a student loan. Colloquially, you know, it just...
Sometimes you have to explain stuff to me like I'm 5 years old.
People, sarcastically or commonly say, listen, there's no way to get out of a student loan.
Okay.
You have to be paralyzed,
yes,
practically in a hospital bed and not able to
produce
work
money
at all.
Yes.
Right.
Okay.
If you can make even minimum wage or less than minimum wage, if you can do something to earn money, your student loan would not be dischargeable.
But if I filed for bankruptcy and my student loan was there, do you structure it where I can just make some kind of payment? It might not be the payment that they were looking for. How does that work out and help me?
In a Chapter 13 or a Chapter 11, I can try to restructure the student loan payments through a plan.
Okay.
In a Chapter 7, I cannot. So people that are bombarded with wage garnishments from student loan companies or threats from student loan companies can find relief in Chapter 13. It may not be the entire relief that they would like because they still have to make payments, but the payments are less onerous than outside of Chapter 13 or Chapter 11.
What other common things do people just walk up and ask you? And I want to, and you are so busy. I mean, but you get back to everybody, and that's a huge thing to people. It's better than to pick up the phone, but you get back to everybody. And I love that about you and Frank. You get back to people, and that's a huge relief. Other than people, I got people I call that I wish they would call me and say, "Don't ever call me again." I would say, "Thank you." It frees me up for knowing I never have to make that call. But you always get back. So, what is the time frame from if I needed to get going and listen, I'm behind, I owe a mortgage, I owe a second mortgage, I'm in debt, I owe Home Depot, I got 2 credit cards, it's outrageous. What is the time frame to get the ball rolling?
Well, the first question I usually ask a potential client is this a time-sensitive matter? And everyone has a different understanding of what's time-sensitive. I usually use this example. Is there someone coming with a padlock? Because I have had numerous clients call, whether they own a small deli or a restaurant, and they'll say, New York State is on its way over with a padlock, or my landlord's coming over.
Here's the sheriff. You want to speak to him?
Right. So that to me is an emergency,
yes,
or my bank account's levied. I can't get money out to buy my medicine.
Yes.
That's an emergency. I got a threatening letter in the mail. I could put that person over for a week.
Yes.
You know, or I could say, come on in next week. Or sometimes people call and they'll say, I know it's not an emergency, but I have this Friday off. I haven't had a day off in the last month.
Yes.
Could you please meet with me? And I'll do that.
Okay.
But perfect scenario, I like a week to meet with someone. And it's more helpful to me to evaluate a potential client's financial situation if I have their financial information available to me. So I like to see a pay stub, a tax return. You know, I have a list of questions. For example, what's the make and model of your vehicle?
Yes.
Do you know a large percentage of people don't know what kind of car they drive? They'll say, I know it's a Ford, but I'm not sure if it's an Edge or a...
My wife, she thinks, you know, I don't recognize my car until I buy one and I see them all over the place.
Right.
And I say, well, that's what I have. You know,
Right.
I don't know.
You're not alone. Most people don't know if it's an Edge, an Escape, an Expedition, and they don't know what year the car is.
That's right.
So, you know, if I send them a list of questions, if they bring in the answers, even informally handwritten, it helps me to guide them.
Sure. Listen, folks, you got to help. Wow, we got 1 minute and 45 seconds.
Wow.
You have to help Ann help you hit your target. I know that your card is going to come up and your email address, but right now, can you give me your email address on here and your phone number?
Absolutely. My email address is Penachio. That's Penachio at PM Law LLP. That's P as in Peter, M as in Mary, LAWLLP.com. And my telephone number is 914-946-2889. And, you know, I derive a tremendous sense of personal and professional satisfaction from helping people that are down on their luck and saving businesses, and you know, will respond to your concerns.
And you help people, and that's great. I think when you help people, and I have a big bird feeder out in the back of my house, and when I fill it up and I see all the birds eating and stuff, just me, I just think that when you go to heaven and they say, well, you know, that guy was helping people, and you move up a little closer in line. He was feeding birds. He moved up a little closer. So you got to go through this world, and you got to help some folks. And I think your information on this show was tremendously helpful, and I so much want to thank you.
Well, you're welcome. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it, and
we'll do this again.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Ann.